Welcome to the newsroom, where it's now time for Media Watch with James Creedon, who joins me here. Hello, James.
Hi, Rebecca.
So, NBC fail, that's a hashtag I saw a lot of this morning. It was at the centre of controversy after it persuaded Twitter to suspend a journalist who criticised its coverage of the Olympics. Now, he says that it came from Twitter directly, that they kind of weeded him out.
This is it. It's quite extraordinary for Twitter, to actually suspend this guy's account over his criticism, it seems, of NBC. Of course, there are two sides to the story, but I'll show you, first of all, the article online that Guy Adams wrote. Now, he is the Los Angeles correspondent for the Independent newspaper in the UK. He was particularly critical of the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games. Now, NBC, who have the exclusive rights to pictures of the Olympics, decided to broadcast that ceremony with a 6-hour delay on the west coast of the US to try to take advantage of advertising revenue, which will be at a higher level later in the evening. Kind of extraordinary, really, that they would choose to do that for a live event of international, I suppose, interest, but they did do it. Now, what he said online was US West Coast forced to watch Olympic ceremony 6 hours later. This was a tweet. I would show you the tweet, except, of course, his account has been deleted. He said, disgusting and money grabbing. And what he did then is he put up the email address of a guy called Gary Zenkel. Now, he was the man responsible for that decision at NBC to broadcast the Olympic opening ceremony with a 6-hour delay. So his corporate email was put up online. That is the official reason why Twitter say they have taken down his account, this journalist's account, because it was a private detail or a private email address. Now, of course, Guy Adams is saying, look, if you Google this guy's name, his corporate address, email address comes up, and it's like here at France 24, you know, first name, last name, that kind of idea. At any company, it's pretty easy to guess what the address will be. Now, he went on to say, in any case, it is quite worrying that NBC, whose parent company is an Olympic sponsor, is shutting down the Twitter accounts of journalists who are critical of their Olympic coverage. So Guy Adams is kind of blaming NBC. That's right. There is a partnership with Twitter, and Twitter, in fact, has been doing a lot of, I suppose, corporate outreach around the Olympics. But if they want to maintain their reputation as a tool of freedom of speech around the world, this probably isn't the way forward.
No, that smacks of censorship, doesn't it? Absolutely. We're sticking with the Olympics, and we're talking about this other controversy. This is something that must have been such a pain in the neck for Olympics organisers. These complaints about the number of empty seats after so many people, I don't know if you did, James, entered the lottery, couldn't get a ticket to go and see an event.
That's right. I personally didn't, but I know a lot of people would be delighted to have these places and did try to get these places with a lot of difficulty. What has since happened now is corporate tickets given to sponsors and even also to international sporting federations. Some of them have been taken back and put back into the pot because people had such difficulty to get places. And then let's take a look on the Daily Mail, for example. These were the photos people were seeing watching their television screens, half empty stalls for major events. You know, I mean, that is infuriating if you did try to get a ticket, and you had members of the army drafted in. Now, in any case, people have been going online and complaining about this. One man who did do something to try to resolve it is David Prescott. He is a PR and social media consultant. He started, amongst others, he started the hashtag, if I could find it, fill the seats. That's empty seats. And then there was fill the seats. Now, we spoke to him earlier, asking him about that initiative. He also encouraged the authorities to take back those empty seats if people didn't turn up within 30 minutes of the event starting.
So I wrote the blog and tweeted it out, and I managed to get 20,000 people viewing it, 500 retweets, all supporting my idea of actually recycling more tickets and setting a 30-minute rule. So if you don't actually use your ticket in that time, that'll get recycled and more people can actually use them. So we got retweeted around the world, and it got picked up by the authorities at the Olympics, where even now they're seriously considering using that rule now. We've certainly been using hashtags on Twitter, such as fill the seats, to get people to tweet pictures and keep spreading content and keeping the pressure up.
So how social media can be used, I suppose, in a positive way around the Olympics, because it's been getting a lot of bad rep.
And in fact, it's going to get bad rep in the next story as well. Debate raging again in the Twitter sphere about whether British police have overreacted by arresting a 17-year-old. And this was over a malicious tweet that he tweeted himself about the Olympic diver Tom Daley, of course, a British champion.
That's right. Let's take a look at photos of Tom Daley. This was going back to 2008 at the Beijing Olympics when he became a national star in the UK for being just 14 years of age and diving. Here he is with his dad, who was his top supporter, and some very nasty 17-year-old on Twitter because, in fact, Tom Daley didn't win a medal. He came fourth, and he was a big talked-up chance for a medal. But somebody said, "You let your dad down. I hope you know that." Now, obviously, a completely insensitive, mean thing to say online. This 17-year-old was arrested under legislation dating back from 1988, designed for poison pen letters. Now, clearly, as some journalists are saying, the courts are going to have to try to figure out how to deal with tweets, which are in fact broadcasts. They're not private emails, so everybody, even a 17-year-old, is going to have to learn, I suppose, about rules. But maybe that's not very realistic because Twitter.
Time to rewrite the law book.
That's it.
Thanks very much, James Greedon. That was Media Watch.